Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Decisions Lunch and Learn. Our host for today is going to be Kirsten from the product team. She's going to be giving a demo over a upcoming decisions feature. So, highly recommend taking a look at that. I'll go through our stuff real quick, and then she's going to get started. But before that, take a look at our Decisions Training YouTube channel. Highly recommend checking out that if you're going to be looking for demos on how to use some of our different stuff in our products, such as Excel steps, Kafka module, or anything else in between. We also have all of our previous lunch and learns posted there. So take a look there if you're trying to get some more information about maybe a question you had the other day, you're not remembering how we answered it. All that content is posted for you there. Below that, we have the Decision Solutions Marketplace, where you can import projects into your environment for testing purposes to understand how they work, maybe take components and use them in your own project. And all this is free, by the way. So you have the ability to see how certain things are built out, and then you can build that out within the scope of your own project. And then below that, we have the Decisions Product Roadmap Review. This is where you can get sneak peeks at the stuff that is upcoming to Decisions in future versions. You can sign up for those meetings at decisions.com/events, which is also the same place that you can sign up for Submerse, which is going to be happening next week, August 11th through the 13th. It will be an online teaching that will go through the purchase request as well as teaching you all the basics of decisions. Highly recommend signing up for that if you're trying to build a base level competency that you can work with to more specific applications from there. So, sign up at decisions.com/events. With that all being said, I'm now going to be passing this over to Kirsten to present this demo now. And also, I'll be putting a survey in the chat for everyone. Everyone should be able to see this now once I put this in. So here's a survey. Please fill this out. It's going to help us get an idea of whether you're looking forward to these kind of features, if this is helpful for your use case or your business. So helps us tailor these things. So with that being said, here's Kirsten to present, and I'm going to stop sharing.
Thank you. Let's see. Now I need to share screen to share screen. Cool. Okay. So a quick overview of the feature that I will demo and then show how to set up. This is coming in probably 9:15 potentially. It's still in development right now, so you guys are getting a little sneak peek of it. It's a pretty cool feature. So most people who are developing forms are pretty familiar with subdialogues where you click a subdialog button or an event button, or you're using an active form flow or something where you get a subdialog and it pops up over your form. We had a feature request to kind of make a subdialog type experience, but still have access to the parent form. So we have Flex Layout now, which is a flexible layout, responsive layout that allows form controls to shift and move around based on the content that is within it. So we have a new control called a content target control. I keep calling it a slide out because that's just what we started calling it, and we've changed the name since. But it is a content target control that will show a sub-dialog form within the main parent form. So this is a sub-dialog. I've just created just a normal sub-dialog, but you also get that same experience with this content target. And so that's what this control is. I have this sub-dialog on my Flex layout with a grid over here. This document patient progress section is a grid layout. And as I select my sub-dialog button, this is the old way. You can still use it. It's still in the platform. So if you like pop-ups, stick with sub-dialog buttons. But another event button, so we have changed some settings on event buttons to target a outlet right now, a content target, as opposed to open a sub-dialog. So when you click these buttons or these actions that will trigger a content target, it will open a brand new form and you still have access to the parent form. Unless you have utilized your active form flow steps to like disable outcome buttons. For instance, if I add a bunch of data here, you don't necessarily want people to go ahead and submit without saving this form first. So you can utilize your active form flow steps to disable everything on the parent form besides the content target form that is opened. So I'm just going to throw some data in here really quick. And when that saves, ignore my scroll bar right now. I'm having issues with my Flex layout, but that's a me problem. So once I saved that form, that my main form now switches to an advanced data grid. So because of Flex, and I'll dive into the designer here in a second, but because of Flex layout, that old grid is hidden using an active form flow. And now my advanced data grid with all of that information that I just put in that content target form is now refreshed my advanced data grid. Now I have data here and my form has changed to show me that new data. And I don't know if everybody here has been on some recent release trainings or is aware of some new things that came out, but we have the display actions as icon calculated column. So we have a new calculated column, which is seen here, that you can create custom actions and they are displayed as icons. So these also can open up a content target. So now if I click this edit progress, it opens up an edit form and I can edit this line item in this advanced data grid right here. Just like inline edit still works, you can do that. But if you want them to edit more things about that, that line item, you can. And then when you save and close, a lot of the logic like saving and closing and updating the advanced data grid and all of that, that's just handled by active form flow logic. So using the steps that are available there properly, and then it updates. So this is the big feature that I kind of wanted to demo. And I will jump into the designer of this really quick. Are there any questions? No, cool. As my local decides to load. There we go. Cool. All right. So in the designer, this is the outlet right now is what it's called. We're in the process of renaming it. But this is where it's at, and this is what your form will look like. Because I'm using a flex layout and because the form designer is the way that it is, it will always be here at design time. And that will let you see like where it will show up. But it is an outlet right now. It's under layouts, I believe is where it's going to live. Maybe not. Yep, there it is. Outlet. And you have animation types. So if you want it to slide out, if you want it to slide out slowly, fast, or you can provide a custom speed if you'd like a custom slide out motion. You can choose your direction of sliding out, whether horizontal or vertical. And then it just has all of the other flex settings because it is within a flex. Now, you will only get like the cool slide out animation if you and pushing the other things out of the way if you use this within a flex. If you use it on a grid, it's always going to be there, just like how grids work. So horizontal stacks, any of the stacks or panels, anything that like is responsive and will push things out of the way using an active form flow, this will be good on. But a grid, it will always be there, an empty white space, unless it is being filled with something currently. So the settings that we have is we have a name for it and animation types, and that's it. So the way that we push data to it is that there's a couple of different ways. So on a sub dialog button link image, I think those are three different controls. There is now an outlet property setting, which will be called content target. Sorry, where you can set it to use the outlet. And as long as you provide it the correct name, if you click this action, it will fill whatever, wherever that outlet is with the form that is within this flow. So this form, ah, my add goal form is here. And so that is what's going to fill this content target. And then same within advanced data grid. And it's going slow today. Same within my advanced data grid. On these action icons, I get a very similar property. Run action in content target. You provide it the name, um, and it will open in whatever, wherever that content target is. Um, sorry. What else? My brain just fried.
So with this content target, it's looking like the way that you fill that is either by putting in some form, like it runs a flow to populate that form. Is that how that functions?
Let's say that one more time.
For this content target,
Hmm.
this can you click on the properties of that again?
Yeah,
If
yeah, yeah,
so I see the animation and stuff
yeah.
here. How does it determine what runs in there? Is it a flow that gets triggered? Is it a form specifically?
Yes. So it's a flow, and as long as that flow has a form in it, the form will show. If there is no form in it, it will just run that flow action and you won't see anything because there's no UI within it. Some future enhancements that we're looking at is using a run report step. So if you
Hmm.
utilize this target and that flow has a run report step, you can show a report here. Um, so that's one enhancement that we're looking at a little later down the line. So that's why we're calling it a content target as opposed to like a sub form or a sub dialogue enhancement of some sort, because we're hoping that more content will be able to show here. We won't have to rename it in the future.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. It's pretty exciting. I think I may have, are there any other questions about this specific feature?
What's like the best practices or like the things that are just good to know as you build in it? Like,
I will say, so I've been building this demo for a little bit off and on. Um, and I will say the hardest thing that I ran into was actually not related to this thing at all. It was more so related to the flex layout. So it was more just making sure that the forms that you are designing in your different content target flows are roughly the same size and are also all flex layout. So they can adjust based off of the allowed min max within this flex layout. And granted,
hmm,
this layout is a little specific to this scenario. Um, but I think it's pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward as long as you have the name spelt right over here. As long as you have the name spelt right wherever you plan to trigger it from, it's pretty straightforward. The layout is the hard thing. Um, yeah, let's see. Let me go back and run this again.
And anyone here can post questions in the Q&A about this demo, just for
Yeah,
anyone who's attending.
yeah, for sure. Why is this taking so long? I'm sorry. My local loves a demo. Goodness. Let me see if I can just get to it out here. Nope, it's all frozen. Cool. It's going to show something else, but uh, slowly but surely, here we are. Okay. So there's a handful of other controls or enhancements. Sorry. that now, so we kind of paired these together a little bit. This one will actually go out in 914. I believe it's ready. I'm on a little older branch though, so it doesn't look pretty. But now on inline editing, when you inline edit, you can have multi-line. So as you're texting, as you're typing more, your cell will expand to fill whatever you are typing. And I don't know if I have this set up to actually save that. Um, uh, I think I have this to like preserve, not preserve spaces. So if I do that, it actually changes. Let me see. But that's a pretty cool enhancement that's coming. That's slightly related. It's advanced data grid related. And now I am just mumbling. But yeah, that's the difference. So as you see, like I've opened this outlet, this content target, and everything here is disabled. So I can't go forward in the process until I have closed this. But I can still scroll and see all of the data that is on this form, which was the purpose.
Hmm. We did get a question in the chat. Marvin asked, side question, how was the blue area with the info added to the big section on the left?
How is the blue area with the info added to the big section on the left? Oh, back. So when I run this with a new patient, how was this added? I'm assuming so. How is a blue area with the info
Correct.
added to the question? Yeah. So I built this using a grid. So it stays that height, fills up that form height, visually looks kind of appealing. So this is all just a grid. This is a grid, and then this is a grid with a background color and a border. So this is not using flex at all. This little section up here, and I will make it a specific color to show everything that is not using a flex layout. So this is just a grid. And then what I did is I used an active form flow to hide either the advanced data grid or this document patient info section based off of if the advanced data grid is empty. So if it's not showing any data because this patient is new and doesn't have any goals or whatnot, then I want to instruct the doctor or whoever is filling this out that they need to add some new information. But if they do already have goals and stuff, then we don't need to do that. So I've hidden vice versa, just using an active form flow. So I've taken this, just checking if the advanced data grid is null because it's getting info from a fetch entity step. And then I've set control visibility of each one of those based off of that. So yeah, that's how that was built.
I have a question, Kirsten. Could you go
Yeah.
back to that, run that process where you could click that pencil on that report view and then it did the content
Yeah.
specified? What is it called?
This
Content? What was it called?
content target.
Content target. I'm just trying to get it. Yeah. Content target. I was wondering, is there any like a possibility where the thing that you hit that action on, is there any way like that specific row will highlight so a person knows like that's what they're editing?
Hmm.
So
That's
it's like kind of
a
like linked where it's like an optional flag or something. Does that make sense?
yeah, that does make sense. So like this row could turn yellow, especially
Exactly.
when there's multiple of them. Let
Exactly.
me
And I think it'd be
run
cool
that
if that
again.
features like like it like it's a boolean where like you can in the properties you
Uh,
can say, hey, do you want the edited row highlight or something like that?
yeah,
And then
let's add multiple here. Mhm. I need to fix this layout. But yeah, so if I edit this, you want assign daily journaling to be highlighted orange or whatever color.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Because I could just see the process where I'm going to think I'm highlighting the role play to improve communication skills, and then all of a sudden something else changes, and I didn't mean to do that.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. So I will jot that down. I don't know of a way off the top of my head to do that at the moment. I don't know if you
Sure.
can in that in the active form flow. I know you have selected row data. I don't know if you have the option or if there are steps available to change the
Hmm.
highlight. I'm not sure.
Gotcha.
That's a really good question.
Yeah. Well,
I will
just yeah, future. If it's not, that a
yeah.
cool future idea, I think.
Yeah, I think that's a cool idea. So one more question. Are you using a vertical stack to hide the grid until the patient has info? I am using a flex layout, Grant. I don't know what version you're on, but flex layout is a new layout that was released in 9.13. Yes, 9.13. Um, that is a responsive grid. And I think I actually have a better demo for flex layout if my local will move faster. Move fast. Yeah, so flex layout is a massive enhancement that we added to layouts. So run, 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 Kirsten, run. Okay, so this whole form was built with a flex layout. I'm just going to make it a little bit bigger for the purpose of this. And as things on my flex layout, there's no other layout on this form. It is solely flex layout and a header container, but the header containers have flex layout in them. And as you see, as the form gets bigger, smaller, all of my controls shift based off of the size of the form. And additionally, they will also shift based off of the size of things around them. So as I check and uncheck things, things shift and move. And we used to be able to do this with like vertical stacks or horizontal stacks where you shove a couple of things in one small area that you want it to stay in. Just so you can hide that one piece and then the thing next to it will shift over. Now you don't have to do that anymore. And as you click and show things and hide things, your header containers shift around, all of your controls shift around. So this was a layout option that was added in 9.13. It's a great enhancement. So I recommend upgrading. So like the multi-select dropdown, it will continue to push everything out. I know this is a massive thing that a lot of people have been asking for, that it will shift everything below it to fit what you've selected. So yeah, it was built using a flex layout. That was a really long-winded answer. Cool. Any other questions? No. Yeah, yeah, you're welcome. Sorry, I'm not good at hosting. Grant said that was a really cool feature. Um, it is. It's really neat. Um, so you're on 9.11. I'm sure a handful of other people in here are on older versions too. So I can run through a couple of 9.13 features since we have some time, unless there's other questions. Another feature released in 9.13 was customizing drop-down displays. So we have a regular drop-down, but now we have the option to provide more context behind the drop-down item. So this example is not set up the best, but initially, like you only get the one email. So you have a drop-down, your type is account, and your display field is email, and that's where it stops. So in 9.13, we added item, what is it? Item list descriptor or something. I'll go into the form and actually show the property, but it allows you to edit a text merge for each item to provide more context. So in this example, I have email as my display field, And then in my text merge, I have parentheses and the person's name and their department that they work in. But when you select it, it only selects that, it only shows that primary display field for now. That is an enhancement that we are looking on getting into the product, is to be able to pick and choose where you want this shown, whether you want it shown in the dropdown or only on selection. But it's also important to note that this descriptor is solely a visual aid. It is not something that will be output with the dropdown selected item. So if I select this, you are only getting the primary field as an output for this control. So how you set those up is on a dropdown. It only shows up as long as your list input source is data name, and you're using a complex type. So that's the only time that you will get this show list item descriptor. So once you set this property to true, you get a text merge, and you can provide whatever data you want. So it gets all form input data and the data of the complex type that you have picked to be the source of that dropdown. And then you also have, let's see, we've got list item descriptor display options. You can truncate the descriptor itself or both the display field and the descriptor if your control is much more narrow than mine. You can choose what gets shortened. And then down in the view section, we have list item descriptor font attributes. So this is where you can choose for that to be italic or a different color, underline, bold, whatever. You can also do custom CSS for that descriptor if you would like. So that's the custom list item descriptor that was also released in 9.13. Another big one that's really exciting, I really like this one and have been asking for it for a while, is frozen columns on reports. So there are frozen columns on reports and advanced data grids now. So if you have really wide reports, you can freeze both left and right columns, and you can pick and choose however many columns you want frozen. And if you want to be able to move, so if column reordering is turned on, you can move columns in and out of the frozen areas, because it's only the column number count. It's only the column count of like how many columns are frozen. So as long as reordering is on, you can move things in and out. But you can freeze columns, however many columns you want from the left and right. This one's pretty huge, and is pretty awesome for really dense reports.
It looks like Shweta is trying to raise her hand. I think she may have a question to ask,
Oh,
or he may have a question to ask. I can unmute them real quick.
yeah.
Hello, did you have a question?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, so I am working from Blackline. So we had one person from Decisions, Kyle Hines, helping me, and he has created one onboarding flow which I am embedding in my iframe. But inside the iframe, I want to change the CSS for that flow, onboarding flow.
Mm.
I was we can address other questions like LNO ones after the demo in regards to that. We'll make sure that we get to that one first, all right?
Okay, sorry, I just joined in. I don't know if I'm in sync with what you were telling me, but that.
Oh, yeah. So, we're giving a demonstration on some of the new features that are out in decisions, as well as some that are coming out here soon. So that's what this is going over. If there is time at the end, I have no problem addressing your question, or you can send an email if you wish to training@decisions.com, and we can just, try and get in a meeting with you and work through whatever your
Okay,
question is.
yeah, I can do that. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yep, sure thing.
Yeah, cool. I forgot. Am I still sharing screen? I don't see my little red box. Yes, I am.
Yes.
Cool. Sorry about that. All right, so that's 9:13. I think I'm kind of wrapped up with demos. If we want to get to other questions, that's totally fine. Unless there are other demo questions.
Checking. Nothing in the
Not
Q&A
seeing it.
currently.
Cool. All right. Well, I will stop sharing then. Thank you for all the questions and listening. And I
Yeah.
guess we'll swap over to normal lunch and learn content.
Yeah, everyone give it up for Kirsten. We got all the new features being demoed by her. And then once again, highly recommend filling out the survey that is inside of the chat. That's going to help with those well, these features for us to try and figure
Yes.
out what you guys need, what you guys are looking for in your product, and for us to get valuable feedback from you guys. I just posted it one more time in the chat. It does not close at the end of this meeting here, but highly recommend filling that out sooner rather than later. It does help.
Yes, thank you.
Cool, cool. Sounds good. So let's see here. You were talking, Shweta, about a changing the CSS inside of a form, right?
So is it possible for me to share my screen? I don't know.
So not in Lunch and Learns. And the reason why is because we post these to YouTube and we don't want to be sharing our customer products publicly.
Correct.
So,
Correct.
yeah. For that sort of help, if you're looking for someone to be able to go into your environment, I would reach out to support@decisions.com. That they are allowed to go into your environment, make changes, all that sort of stuff. So if something's not working quite right or something is off, you can make a support ticket simply by emailing support@decisions.com.
Okay, I will do that. So, if you like want to listen to my question again, I'll just ask again.
Of
So
course.
basically, one engineer from Decisions has created already a onboarding flow for us, and I am just embedding it into my application in a like iframe. And inside the iframe for the onboarding flow, I want to change CSS for that. And I'm very new to decisions, so I don't know anything. I mean, you can assume like I don't know anything. Yeah.
You're good. No worries. Here, I will be sharing my screen. I'm just trying to get that set up right now. Pardon me for just a moment while I do that. And here we go. Awesome. Are you able to see my decisions environment now?
Yes, I can see that.
Fantastic. All right. So you got CSS that you're trying to apply to the form that is being, you have something from your website embedded in iframe in something called a form, most likely. Now, this isn't the only way it can be embedded. It could be in a form, it could be in a page. But either way, I'll start with the form one and then we'll go from there. All right. So all right, so you're going to be embedding inside of an iframe. I think that's HTML viewer, if I recall, HTML display. It's probably something similar to this that you've got set up in there. I don't know exactly without being inside your environment or if you know otherwise, but that's probably something that you've got here. And then you have the URL source coming from some data name. You can choose whether it's embedded or not. Yeah, dialog inline display. And then you have these CSS classes over here. If you're trying to upload your custom CSS to a form to be displayed, what you'll probably want to do is upload the CSS document first to give yourself access to it. And the way that you would do that is I'm going to exit and save over here, is you'd go to this little gear icon over here. Let me make sure there isn't one at the project level. I haven't worked with CSS at the project level yet, so let me just make sure. I don't think there's CSS at the
Templates.
project level.
Yep. Under
We got CSS
templates.
under here. Oh, we
Yep.
do have project level CSS. Okay. So you can upload a CSS document for whatever project you're utilizing from here. And that's going to ask you to drag your CSS file over. You give it a title, and then you click Add Document. Once you have that available, you can start utilizing that inside of your form. I'll go to the system one so you can see the system CSS and get an idea for what's going on over here.
I have
Designers.
one more question. I don't have the system folder in my login. Is that some permission I don't have to see that folder, or what is it? I see only on the left side, you see these icons, right? I see only three, four. I don't see the gear icon.
You don't see the gear icon. You see the top four?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so that means you have designer permissions, not admin permissions. All
So do
right.
I need admin permissions to change CSS?
Not at the system level. No. I'm trying to take you to the system level one so you can see what it looks like at the project level. That's what I'm doing right here. So
Uh-huh.
this is what all your documents would look like. This is the system CSS, and you get to see the document previewed on the right side, right? So you get to see all the different CSS that's being applied. All right. Now, these are the only ones that I'm currently ready to pick from here, and then you'd pick one of these documents. However, you should be able to set one up at the project level under configuration, templates, and CSS inside of your project. If you don't have access to this, if you can't see this, then that is a permissions thing, and you would have to reach out to the developer about either acquiring those permissions or if he could put those in there for you. But once you upload your CSS document, you have access to it inside of your flow at that point, and you can use it inside of your form. So let's see if I recall where this is. Properties. Ah, yes. So I'm going to click this just so you can see what's going on right here. Allow CSS file name at runtime means that whenever this form is run, you can choose which CSS file gets applied to this form. I'm going to call this my CSS, and then I'm going to create a form so you can see how this functions, all right? And then, or sorry, a flow rather. We're just going to call it flow 1. The zoom screen's in the middle again, so I got to move that over. And now when I use what is called a run form step, which allows me to execute the form that I just created after I connect the start steps to it and actually tell it what form to do. You'll notice there's going to be this input in here called my CSS, right? You can upload, there are two ways you can do this. You can upload your list of CSS dynamically, or as a constant, like if you want to type it all out here, or you could pull it in from flow data. Or the other way to do it is you could select the CSS document itself. Let me see if I recall exactly where that's located. It's been a while. Jared, I know you've worked with this a lot more than I have. Do you recall exactly where the static CSS selection was located on the form?
Click on the checkered space,
Yeah, I got you.
and there should be, if you have any CSS enabled, there should be somewhere. Scroll down. Oh,
I'm
scroll
gonna
back
scroll
up.
down as much as I can.
Let's see. Click on a piece of content, like the grid inside of the form,
Yeah, yeah.
and then I think there might be. Let's see. Okay. So it's
So
not
you
on
have
surface.
to
Go ahead.
you have to have CSS in the project of
You do have
CSS.
to have it at the
Yeah,
project level, and then it
That
shows
makes
up
sense.
here.
yeah.
Okay, gotcha. All right, so I got to create a CSS form somewhere, and then that would allow for that. It looks like, did something get thrown in the chat here? Yeah, and then yeah, we've got a CSS class that got added already into the documentations. So you can if you see the chat as well, there's going to be a list of the documentation on those CSS classes for making those alterations to these decisions objects, these form controls.
I think I have a form that utilizes this if you want me to share
That would
again.
be fantastic. Yes, I'll stop sharing
Cool.
instead of trying to create a CSS on the fly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let me find the share button. Ah, geez, it's right smack dab in the middle. I don't know. I'm still not used to Zoom. Okay, cool. So this is actually also a new feature being released in 9.14 to where you can now set multiple CSS. Well, you could always set multiple CSS classes on a single control, which is why I have this example. So that's just a little context. But on a form, as long as you have, let me back up. as long as you have a CSS file in the project here. So I have a couple, whether you're on a page or a form, then on your form or page, as long as you're on the
I have a
surface.
question. How did you open this form? Can you show me again? Because I was not able to open. I don't see this demo upcoming release 914.
This is just a project that I have on my local.
Oh,
So yeah, this is a form that I've built on my local. And
So
then we have,
yeah,
go
these
ahead.
aren't pre-built. Yeah, these aren't pre-built things, Sweta. This is something custom inside of Christian's environment. Yours is going to look different because you'll probably have different forms or elements that your team or our professional services team has designed for you. So it won't be a one-to-one comparison.
so
Yeah.
it's possible that I don't have access to that form, which is in the iframe of my application, basically. Is that
It,
possible?
That is, and probably what you would do, I think an action item here is I would definitely reach out to your IT ops team who manages your access to decisions or your management, because that would probably get you access to that server so you then can update the style sheet like Kirsten is demonstrating here.
Mhm.
Okay. Because I never saw this kind of screen on my laptop, like the form and everything. Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. So the CSS is on the surface and you can pick whichever one you want as long as as long as there's a CSS file in the project. And then the upcoming enhancement that we have in 9.14 is that you can now select multiple classes easier than it was before, where you had just know that you could do this and type them all out with spaces. Now, as long as they're there, you can select them. And you can also type custom classes and it'll be there. So
That's
that's
so
an
cool.
enhancement. Isn't that neat? We're gonna update the styling of this to look a little bit better, but we wanted to just go ahead and get it out in 9.14. So yeah. All right, back to you. Sorry, I stole your screen
No,
again.
don't apologize. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah,
No, I didn't have any built at the top. I definitely didn't have any built at the project level. So,
yeah, yeah. That's always hard.
all right. I think we've got another question to address. Standard. Let me get my screen sharing again because I gotta make that. Do I have to make that full screen again? No, no, no. We're good. Cool, cool, cool. All right. Sharing my screen once more. Okay, and the next question we have is from Patty. I have a form that's taking data with two advanced data grids. How can I clear the data from the form if I switch to another data grid information? I'm gonna unmute you for this. So you have two advanced data grids. You're trying to clear data from the form if you switch between the grids. Let me unmute you so you can actually talk and answer my question here. Where are you? There you are.
Hi, Craig. How are you?
I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
I'm good, thank you. Yes, if I select information, I have a button to switch between select the information from two different data grid. If I select one first and switch by the button to the second one, select a record, the previous one filled in additional information. I'm talking about the the information the same will change, but additional information still stay in certain fields. I need to clear that. So you want to confuse the end user and end user can type it in, override, just make those one empty. Um,
I would think you could probably do a set control value and just pass it in as null with an active form flow. Just upon,
okay.
I'm not exactly sure what your trigger would be on that. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
upon like selection changed on the second grid. I'm
Mm-hmm.
just going to do it with an event button so that you can see very
Okay.
clearly what would go on, right?
Okay.
So this event button is just going to clear a box that got filled out, all right?
Okay.
Yep. So let me actually get a text box with this. We'll call it name Drop that down. All right. And then name we can put in ourselves, and we click event button, it's going to clear it. So we need an active form flow. It's going to run every time the event button is clicked. I'll say it's clear name, and then we'll add in our form rules here. All we should need is a set control value.
Okay.
You're not trying to hide it or anything. We're going to pick the control value. We want our name text box. So I have to keep moving the zoom screen everywhere to avoid clicking it. And then this we should be able to set to null. I don't know if ignore works, but I'm pretty sure null will. And now we'll hit
Okay.
OK. And now, oh, it doesn't have an outcome path, so it's going to yell at me. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. And then it's as simple as about changing whatever triggers this, right? So let's actually run this now. We're going to debug it. And then if I start typing my name and then I hit raise event, that's going to clear it.
Okay. So yeah, my button is a new checkbox, meaning if they check new, then that's set control value to, I have 4 or 5 views, all need to be set to null.
Yeah, you just need
Okay.
to select
Okay.
the controls on whatever
Mhm.
trigger you need.
Okay, okay, okay. I'll give a try on that one. And you see, my next question is when the number box, if I use a number box, by default, the number box is initial value is 0.
That's correct.
The problem with that is I do not want an user to accept that number. They must select, they must put something in. Can I make it null?
Can you make a number box null?
Set control value again?
That won't do it. That will set it to
Okay.
0.
Okay.
Allow no value? No, no, no. I don't know if that will function or not with allow no value.
Okay.
I need to do a little bit of testing. I don't know off the top of my
Okay.
head. You could
That would-
absolutely. Oh,
That
yes.
one should do it, Gregory. If you do number box and you say allow null value, and then you set, I think it's like initial value to, let's see, yeah, oh, that's the incrementer. I'll leave the incrementer as 1. Are you using a number spinner or a number box?
Just a number box. I just dragged
Okay,
over
is
a
it
number
number
box.
box?
Yeah,
Oh, okay,
that's
cool,
what
cool.
I used, number box.
Then, yeah, then that should, I believe that should work. You would have to go ahead and put this in a flow and debug it to confirm the functionality.
Right. And what if I set this to null initially? Let me do that right on startup because it's not letting me select null for the actual number. But so let me try to get something that'll create that on startup.
You should, well, I don't first test it without active form, but I don't think you needed active form flow. That would be not a recommended design practice.
Okay.
Let's see. Go back to okay, so number box. Close that and let's go back into the form.
Mhm.
And so we have. Is this the one? Let's see. Oh, uncheck auto populate.
Ah, there we
you
go. That's what it
There
was.
you go.
And
Okay.
then
Okay.
close and save this, and I
That's the
think then
one.
it won't. So yeah,
Okay.
just
Yeah.
debug it to confirm functionality.
Exactly. Now
Yeah,
populate,
there
but
we
I
go.
won't put anything
Okay.
in. Let me make sure it.
Excellent.
Yep, perfect. There we go. Number
Yeah,
must be
yeah.
specified.
Okay.
Now,
Okay.
now what you
That's
can
great.
do, Patty, too, if you still want people to know like that's a number and there's a certain type of format you want people to type that number in, Gregor, can you go back into that form?
Watermark updating.
Exactly, yeah. You know where I'm going. Yeah, if you can just talk about the watermarking.
Yep, absolutely. So you have the ability to put kind of like a grayed out value in the background to show what should be going here. You can say it's something like number goes here, right? So you can see how that's in the background there. This is not accepted as a
okay.
value, or you
That's
can
even
just,
better.
right.
Okay.
There are
Okay.
multiple different ways that you can do this.
Okay. Excellent. Okay, cool. Thanks very much, guys.
Absolutely. We're glad to
Have a good
assist.
one.
All right. And then we have Umar has a question as well. Is there a way by which I can call another decisions flow from an existing flow as a fire and forget instead of waiting for a response? Are you talking about like a asynchronous run as async? Hold on, let me unmute you here real quick. The answer is yes. You can definitely call another flow from a flow. That's, yeah, it's kind of a core design of decisions.
No, that's not what I'm asking. In that case, you will be actually waiting for the response, and you would actually need to end the flow there, right? So if you
Not
add
if
a
you
flow
ran
in
it as
between,
async, like start linked flow async.
okay.
All this does is it calls a subflow in an asynchronous manner. The main flow does not wait for this subflow to complete.
So in that case, let's say if I call that subflow in a like that set link whatever that name is in a sync
Right.
manner, and so if we, in that case when you run the flow and let's assume that the original flow, the parent flow you have actually exposed in as API, right? As a
Okay.
REST API. So when I call that API, uh, would would it not wait for the flow, the in between flow to complete? Will it
No.
actually give me the response back?
Well, it won't give you a response back from this one. This will give you a
Hmm.
response back here. It will not wait for a response from here. This is completed in an asynchronous manner, in a separate work queue. So if
Okay.
here, let me exit out
Hmm.
and I'll show you what I'm talking about. All right. So
Yeah.
I'm going to create something called flow2, and
Hmm.
flow2 is going to have a delay step, so it has to wait 10
Yeah.
seconds to complete. All right.
Yeah. Correct.
All right, so flow2 is going to wait 10 seconds right here, and then it's going to go out here. I'm going to give flow2 an input as well. I'm just going to give it the input name just so you can see how this functions. So
Hmm.
this
Sure.
requires an input. We're going to save this, and then we're going to go back to our flow1. I'm going to specify flow2 is going to be the flow that we call asynchronously. Give me a moment.
Hmm.
And now I need a name input. I'll just put my name. I don't have a problem with doing
Hmm.
that. And now, watch when I execute this. It
Hmm.
executes immediately. Flow 2 is
Okay.
still running, but my
Okay.
main flow has executed.
So ultimately, in that sense, like I will actually get the response back in the API and still, so it is like working as a fire and forget in that case, right? What
Uh,
if like, you get so can you do one thing, please? Throw an exception from flow 2.
put an exception in here?
Yeah.
Sure. Like throw a business exception, or you want me to divide by zero? Like what kind of
Yeah, I mean,
exception are we looking for?
any exception
Okay.
is fine.
Sounds good. Sounds good. We'll do 0 over 0, do some calculus stuff here. And then we will debug this. Yeah, you're not going to get that exception. It doesn't, the system is handling that thread. It's no longer in the context of the
Hmm.
current user who's running it.
Okay, cool. This is exactly what I wanted. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, glad to hear it. Yeah, start
This
linked
time,
flow.
small discussion.
Yeah, start linked flow async. That's the name
Yeah,
of.
sure. Got it. Yeah,
And
thank
one
you.
more thing, under
Yeah.
advanced, you have the ability to pick your target at runtime too.
Okay.
That is if you want to kick off a different flow at runtime inside of this.
Okay, no problem.
Yep.
We'll check that.
And
Thank you.
Umar,
Hmm.
if you Gregory, go ahead and click on that. I think there's a couple of cool things to know about this step. Is under scroll not the runtime selection. Scroll down to the work queue.
Yep.
You can specify the work queue that you want it to run on if you want it to run on a different queue, and then also you can specify. Uncheck that for me, please. You can specify the execution threads you want to provision for that process, and then the worker queue where that's found. Let's say, hey, you've configured this. You want to know like, hey, what's are the queues or the threads that are running? You'll remember this better than me, Gregory, because I always forget these two dashboards. There's actually work queue, a dashboard
Hmm.
that you can view. I think it's like thread job. Thread jobs is if you do execution. So if I create different wait, is this the queue or is this the threads,
Oh,
Gregory?
sorry.
I always
This
get
is
confused.
scheduled jobs. Yeah, hold on. Scheduled jobs are the ones that just started the queue. Hold on. Trying to remember here. Interval jobs, snap jobs, startup jobs, thread jobs. Yeah, this oh, this is because it's at the project level. That's why it's not as big. Let me go to this one real quick, and that's where you're gonna see all of them.
Exact. Yeah, administration. Isn't that where it's at?
Thread
Work
jobs,
queue
scheduled
workers.
jobs, and then you have the not scheduled job, scheduled. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Thread jobs. Here's where you have all the different queues that are lined up.
There you go. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So for my specific, let's say, I have two different kind of scenarios. So I can
Mhm.
use two different queues so that they are not like interlinked with each other and they are like independent, right? This is
Correct.
okay. Okay.
Yeah. So in
So,
a context when we do this is like, let's say I have multiple scheduled jobs running. If you
mhm.
have them all run on the same queue, if one of the jobs hangs, it stops the other jobs from running. So what you could do is you
Okay.
can put them on separate queues so that if one job fails, it doesn't interfere with the others.
Got it. Yeah. Thanks
Mhm.
for that hint. Because
You're welcome.
that can actually become really handy
Sure,
in case
sure.
of the high load. Thank
Yep,
you.
my pleasure.
Bye bye.
Cool, cool. All right. Well, we're at 4 minutes left, and um, for the life of me, I can't seem to find the fetch entities in a folder. Sorry, Alex, I missed that question. Hold on. Let me unmute you real quick. Hey, so wait, you can't find the fetch entities in what? You can't find the
So
step called?
no. I can find the step, but for the life of me, I have a folder and I'm passing it as the input. It says, parent folder ID, and I'm putting in the folder that has these entities, and then I'm trying to pull it, but every time I run it, it says no results, and I don't know why. I'm not like I don't have any filters or anything going. I'm just trying to pull the entities that I know exist in this folder.
Quick question, are these entities saved at the root level?
How would I know that?
That would depend on the folder you select. This, I'll be honest, this sounds like it
Hmm.
might be a support ticket just from the sound of this. If you're trying to search the portal for a folder and you can't find it searching, that can mean a few things. One, the folder got deleted. Probably
Hmm.
unlikely if you're still saving entities there and you're not running into errors. Possibility number two, the folder is hidden. This can also mean that it might be hidden from the
Oh,
portal
I find
search.
the folder when I'm running the fetch entities. I can find the folder. That's fine. But when I like select, you know, put the type of entities that are in the folder, it says no results, and I know there's tons of results. So when I actually like fetch those entities, it's saying those entities don't exist in this folder.
So you're specifying the parent folder as a search criteria. That's what's going on over here. So
Yeah, it's in the option.
I pick an option. I'll go with account type account. Wait, why is that?
And I don't know if I just need to add like
Oh,
if
I
I'm
grabbed
missing.
four each. I grabbed the wrong step. Never mind. Hold on. I'm looking at this like something feels off on this. Okay, here we go. Here
Yeah.
we go. Let's go. I'm just gonna grab all accounts. This is something that exists right here, right? And then you're specifying the parent folder ID. Is that what you're doing?
Yep, that's what I'm doing there,
Gotcha.
and I'm
So
selecting it.
you're picking
And
it. Is
right
it
there, yeah,
at? You're picking this.
yeah.
Gotcha. That's the root level folder. I bet that's the problem. So when you search Thursday LNL with this folder, I have a feel. I'll confirm this, but I
Hmm.
think what's going on is that you are trying to search for a folder that is at the root level of this project right here, and the only one you would get is a subfolder of that. So if I try to search Thursday LNL, I don't think I'm going to get that folder in the portal search. Let me check that right now and confirm that.
Okay.
So
So
if
you're
I
saying
do,
that even though it exists, it's not gonna like give this to me.
so let's
And it is a
confirm this.
folder that's holding entity. It's like, and all
It
the
is
entities
here.
look
So
like
it is here.
I don't know if this matters, but all the objects inside of it look like they have that little gray box icon next to them.
All the objects inside have that gray box icon.
Yep. And then they have the actual name of it.
Hmm.
That's just the default entity icon look, Gregory.
Yeah,
The
the little
icon, yeah.
pencil, right?
Not the
Hmm.
pencil, the little cube thing, right? When you just create an entity, it just has a cube
Oh,
as its
yeah, yeah,
icon.
yeah. That's not gonna. Yeah, that's not a problem. That's not a problem. It wouldn't have this. Yeah, that's fine. Um.
What I would
Okay.
recommend, Alexander, could you go back into your flow, Gregory?
Yes, absolutely.
I haven't experienced your error, Alexander, but I have experienced something similar where whenever I use the parent folder ID, um, can you find that property? I always get weird results where it sometimes doesn't work and then sometimes like high, like it doesn't get all my data. So
Hmm.
what I do is I actually will go to my fetch criteria and I actually say I'm going to add a new fetch criteria and I'm going to grab entity underscore folder ID. Yeah. There we go. Entity folder ID. Perfect. And what that means is you're basically just grabbing the parent folder. That's what that is. It's just the actual column field in the database. And when I've done that way, I've gotten better results where I can get the data that I'm looking for from it.
Okay, so instead of using parent folder,
Yeah,
go
add a fetch.
to
Yeah, if you can walk through that again,
Yep.
Gregory.
So we're going to add a fetch criteria to this, and that fetch criteria for your entity is going to be the entity folder ID. And then I just do equals here, right? So entity folder name, or so the field name is entity folder ID, query match type is equals, and when you select those two, you get an input that appears down here now where you can
Weirdly enough,
say,
I don't see the entity folder ID. I see entity ID, entity type name.
what kind of entity are you fetching?
I'm unsure. I guess a case.
It's a case. That should have a folder ID. All right. Let's make a case.
And if I need to, I can like hop on to a support call. It's fine.
Yeah, that would be good for trying to resolve whatever the original issue is. But as far as just trying to get something to work for, just so you're not stuck in your process.
Alexander, are you grabbing your case entity type name, like in the fetch entity step?
Am I grabbing the type name? Yep, I'm grabbing the
Yeah.
type name because above it, it gives me the type name,
So
which is
so the
Oh.
case entity. So if you grab your case entity type, it's not going to have entity underscore folder ID because that's the extension data. What you're going to have to do is change your type name to folder, and then grab the extension, and then to add the extension type name, your case entity, and then you'll be able to get the filter criteria for entity folder ID.
So you're saying I'm too deep right now. I need to go out one?
No, that's the opposite. Or no, exactly. Yeah, you have to call the parent type, and then you can get the extension data. So like to the right, do you see how? Yeah, do you see how Gregory has it? So your type name should be folder, and your extension type name would be fill in the blank what yours is, and then you will have access to filter by the entity folder ID, like you see on the screen here.
Okay, I'll try that. See if I can get some results.
And yeah, if that doesn't work, I would say I would submit a support ticket.
So how do I
Probably
know if it's a
something.
folder or not? Like if I'm getting the type folder or
If you're using a case entity or a folder extension, you will always do this. Those two data types and decisions leverage the internal native decisions folder type. And so you would always have to do this in that context.
and your type name is just called folder?
Yep, it's just called folder decisions framework.
Okay, and then I grab the extension. Got it. I'll give that a try. And hopefully that does it.
Cool, cool. All right. Well, with that being said, we are 3 minutes over, and I think we've addressed all of our questions. So thank you very much for everyone for attending, and we look forward to seeing you all next week.
Thank you.